Hello, everybody. This is Reed Cohen of Imprint Tours, and this is our final installment of the week, our Where in the World week for Southern India. I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint presentation this morning where I am, and about Southern India. And before I launch off on that, I have to make a couple of disclaimers. First of all, pronunciations. Southern India has some pretty elaborate named temples and sites. And I am not an expert on the proper pronunciation. So if anybody's watching this and knows that I have mispronounced things, send me an email. I'm fine to be corrected, but I know I'm not going to get them all right this morning. And I know I'm going to fumble along with some of them as well. So everybody's patience would be appreciated. And secondly, I do want to explain the background here. It's been almost 30 years since I have actually been in Southern India myself. It was an amazing experience that absolutely blew me away. I've wanted to take a group, wanted to develop a tour for Southern India for many, many years now. We're on the cusp of doing that, but I have not been back to upgrade my image collection, which in the early 1990s was, of course, slides, right? I'm not even sure where those slides are. So this entire PowerPoint presentation is with images that I've lifted online. Attributions are at the end. So these are not my pictures. And really the point that I want to make is my recollections are 30 years old. I can share those impressions, but I won't have the kind of details that you perhaps are used to with my PowerPoint presentations of other tours that I've done many times and that I have experience to call on. Plus, I don't have a lot of pictures of the day-to-day things that we're likely to encounter in Southern India. So it's a PowerPoint of primarily big sites, just to give you a visual idea of what this tour is all about. For example, behind me is the great temple at sorry, I don't have that information. As I said, I won't. Somnathpur, sorry, it came to me. This is the Hoysala temple at Somnathpur, which will be featured on the tour. So anyway, having said those things, let's go ahead and get started. I need to share my screen with everybody. That is not the one I want. Let's go back to, well, let's see here. I don't understand. I'm not sure what you might be seeing. Looks like you're not seeing what I want you to see. There we go. Very good. So these are the shore temples at Mamallapuram. We had this prominently featured. Well, sorry, I don't seem to be able to advance this. Hang on. There we go. Just want to make sure this is working properly. And I'm waiting to see if it has caught up. Yes, okay. Very good. Sorry for that, folks. Those of you who are used to seeing me on social media know that I'm a little bit of a technoboob, and there's always these rough spots. So here's a map of all of India. Let's see if I can move this around a little bit so that I can use my pointer. There we go. So the Indian subcontinent there, of course, when we talk about Southern India, we're basically talking about Goa, which is here on the West Coast, about 2/3, 3/4 of the way down. Our good friend and colleague Chetan Jai, who will actually run this Southern India tour, was sort of defining the south of India there at a line of Goa. Everything south of here is what we consider to be Southern India. Here's a zoom in. And just to sort of track the tour itinerary, We start just south of Chennai here on the east side, on the Andaman Sea side. We work our way down into Tamil Nadu, down here, down by Tiruchirappalli, which we shorten to Trichy. We may, if there's time, pop into Madurai because there's a spectacular temple there to see. But then over here, we spend a couple of nights in Kodaikanal, which is a hill station. I'll talk more about that. And then over to Kerala, which is here on the west coast, very thin state that runs north-south here near Kochi. Just south of Kochi is where we will spend a couple of nights in Kerala, and then up to Mysore, which Mysore is what we used to call it. My vocabulary is stuck in the 1990s, of course. A few nights in Mysore, and then just a flight from Bengaluru, and we will fly up north. Just off our map is Hyderabad, where we finish up because there's a big airport there. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Here's the shore temples again, Mamallapuram. If you tuned in yesterday or watched the recording of our virtual tour, we had Mr. Lalu from Tamil Nadu who walked us through seeing the highlights of Mamallapuram. And of course, you start with the shore temples. He was telling us that there used to be 7 of these temples. 6 of them have been washed away by the surf. But these beautiful Chola temples, about 1,300 years old, built in the early 8th century, and are sort of the precursors to a lot of the Dravidian architecture that we'll see in southern India. This is a shot from further north, looking back down to the south. You see the beaches there, and then those beautiful shore temples. Beautiful venue right next to the sea. One thing that I wanted to comment on is, of course, that the Mamallapuram is a beach community, and Indians come from all over, but of course they don't necessarily show up in their bikinis and skimpy swimming costumes. Instead, they just go right in with whatever regular clothes they have on and enjoy the surf that way. The other highlight of Mamallapuram are the 5 ratas. These are carved temple shrines. We learned from Lalu yesterday that these are all monolithic. They were just a series of boulders sitting there that they carved from top to bottom to create this series of 5 little temple shrines. They're all meant to be some sort of carriages or chariots, if you will. The 5 ratas are named for the Pancha Pandavas. These are 5 brothers of Hindu mythology. They're symbolic and educational purposes, just like religious art is all over the world. And this is definitely one of those highlights of what we will do together. These are sort of cave temples as well, right? They've carved back into the hillside and turned these into places of worship. There's the 5 ratas and the descent of the Ganges, or Arjuna's penance, are the highlights, of course, but there are dozens and dozens of these to be explored and photographed in Mamallapuram. This is the most famous of the bas-relief carvings. This is the descent from the Ganges, or Arjuna's penance. Again, these are all from the great mythological religious literature of Hinduism, right? The Ramayana is the primary one. Anyway, these are all beautifully carved, really good condition, and sites that we will enjoy together. And then my favorite, just because it's sort of whimsical, is Krishna's butterball, right? That has been sitting there for centuries. People have tried to move it, apparently. It's rock solid, no pun intended, but you can see how much fun it is because it looks like it just sort of fell from the heavens, and hence it gets some sort of religious connotation, and they've attributed it to Krishna, one of the primary deities of the Hindu pantheon. All right, ready to move on. Sorry, I should have mentioned that Mamallapuram, this presentation is in the order that that the tour takes place. So Mamallapuram is our first stop. You can see from this map up in the top right-hand corner that Chennai, which will have a big international airport, is just 20 minutes away, 20-30 minutes away. You can arrive at the big airport there and transfer directly to Mamallapuram, where we will begin the tour. Then we've got about a half day driving. You don't make interstate speeds in India on any of their roads. So even though we're not traveling too far, our destination is Tanjavur and Trichy. Those are twin temple towns down here at the end of where I've marked our traveling route for the day on the map. And here one encounters Brihadishwara Temple. This is in Tanjavur. This is one of the most famous of the Dravidian temples of Tamil Nadu. It's a full 1,000 years old. Spectacularly beautiful. It's in beautiful shape. It's been restored. It's been cleaned, and it's absolutely jaw-dropping first experience of one of these huge temples. And you can see, if you think back to those images I showed you of the shore temples, this is just a bigger, better version of that very, very similar architecture. It's got the pyramid shape. You've got the little dome on top. The shore temple was, as I said, 300 years predating this great temple in Tanjavur. So you can see that the architecture's gotten better, the building techniques have gotten better, and you get this spectacular result. If you look right down in here between, this is called a Gopuram. Actually, sorry, I may be mistaken. The Gopurams are probably these gate towers down in the lower right-hand corner. And between is one of the more famous Nandis, right? Nandi was a vehicle of Shiva, an important spiritual animal. And I have a picture there of the great bull, the great steed of Shiva. So one of the highlights here. This is, I hope I can get this even close to right, Sri Ranganath Swami. Sri Ranganath Swami Temple. This is the largest Hindu temple in the world. This is in Trichy, very nearby to Tanjavur. We stop in Tanjavur, visit the first temple, the Brihadishwara temple, have a little bit of lunch, then move over to Trichy, where we settle into our hotel for a couple nights. The big difference here is not only scale, not that these towers are any bigger, but it's the entire temple complex that makes it the biggest in India and probably the biggest Hindu temple complex in the world, but also the colors here, right? Spectacularly colored. All those fantastic carvings are come to life in monochromatic splendor. Very impressive. Of course, the temple complex itself spreads out over many, many square yards. And as a matter of fact, the entire complex is 155 acres with 21 towers, 81 shrines, 39 pavilions. And this primary tower here in the background of this shot is 220 feet tall, just constructed in 1987, so fairly modern. Also nearby in Trichy is the Rock Fort, appropriately named. It's a fortress complex up on top of a big natural rock hill, and there's a couple of beautiful temples up on top there as well. These are all, to repeat, Dravidian architecture. And of course, we will see everyday life as we travel along. This is a typical street in Trichy, typical little market. Around any one of these big tourist sites, of course, you're going to have people selling some sort of souvenirs and things that travelers buy. Very, very colorful in some parts of the town is Trichy. We're bound to see all kinds of local artisans plying their crafts. Food markets. Flowers are very, very important in India. If I had Chetan here, I'd have him explain to you the significance of the different colors. But marigolds in particular are used when you enter temples. Quite often they give you a flower lei, or you have purchased flowers to present as some sort of offering to the gods. Very important. Oh, Southern Indian cuisine. We've talked quite a bit about this during our Where in the World week. This is a masala dosa. I think Chetan showed us this very picture as well. The dosa is the sort of thin, crispy pancake that has been rolled up into a little cone shape there in the back plate. And then you've got your various curries and sauces and yogurt dips to dip that crispy pancake-like substance. This is not a sweet dish. This is a kind of a savory crepe or pancake. Dosa, very, very common in the South. I talked quite a bit about the thali meals previously. I won't go into detail here. Come along on the tour and we'll introduce you to great thali meals, which of course are served throughout India, but I was introduced to them in Southern India. So to me, they seem like a specialty of the South. Okay, moving on from Trichy. We will drive to Kodaikanal. If you can look carefully at this map, you see the green section here. This is the highlands, the Western Ghats. This is the land elevates quite quickly as you move east away from the coast here. And these are the highlands. This is where they will have tea plantations. And it's where the British, when they controlled India, when it got to be the heat of the summer, they would retreat to these various hill stations. So Kodaikanal is our destination on this day. Again, about a half day's drive. We'll stop and have lunch near Dindigul. There's a ruined fort there. We'll have a quick visit. And as I had mentioned in my preface, it remains to be seen, but if there's time, we might zip into Madurai just to see that spectacular temple that they've got there in Madurai. I'm not including it in the formal listing of sites in the itinerary, simply because we'll have seen already, as you've seen from my photographs, several of these other Dravidian temples, and we don't want to do too much of the same thing. So off to Kodaikanal here. I don't have too many nice pictures, but this is going to be our vacation from our vacation, right? We'll arrive in the late afternoon. We'll get checked into our beautiful resort-like hotel. And the next day will be a free day for explorations, right? There's hiking to be had. There's a lake. There's, it's a relaxed place. It's not a place to do things. It's a place to relax and to be and to recharge your batteries after the first 4 or 5 days of the tour. You'll already be ready for a little break. So this will be a relaxing stop at Kodaikanal. As I showed you in the first photograph, some beautiful waterfalls that make nice hiking destinations. And then we'll be ready to move on to Kerala, all the way over on the western coast of the Indian Ocean. Again, now this day, even though it's not very far as the crow flies, you can see by this squiggly line there that this is not going to be a super highway that takes us all the way down to our destination there. We better count on a full day of driving. But of course, it'll be a beautiful drive. Takes us all the way down to the backwaters area. And this is a really good map that shows you, first of all, down in the bottom left-hand corner, to show you where we are on the southwestern edge of the subcontinent. And look at all this blue in here, right? From Kochi all the way down to Alleppey and Harirad. You've got this is what they call the backwaters area. You can see that this is just laced with natural canals that have been augmented by artificial canals. And this is the experience that we've come for. Our destination is Kottayam. That's very close by to there is where we'll be sleeping. And while we are here, we will indulge in exploring the backwaters. If you tuned in on Wednesday, when I had our colleague Nina on, she shared her experiences there, and she had, while traveling on a budget, had used one of the public ferries. That's what this boat is. you can get on a big boat like this. We will not be doing this on the tour, but I wanted you to just see, for you independent traveler types, that you can show up there and buy a very inexpensive ticket and just cruise the major canals of the backwaters on a public boat. The classic backwater experience is to spend a night or two on a houseboat, right? I mean, this is kind of what most independent travelers do. It just doesn't lend itself very well to a group of 18 or 20 people. If I investigated it, and it just doesn't fit logistically, but the houseboat experience is kind of the classic backwater experience that many travelers indulge in. As I said, this is much like Kodaikanal. This is going to be a relaxed day. We do have a number of things planned, but part of what's planned will be a boat ride like this, where we just drift along and seeing all the flora and fauna of the backwaters area. We'll see people living their lives, experiencing life on the water. This is definitely a aqua culture here. Small canals, big canals, lots of birds, a few monkeys. We'll see, like I said, flora and fauna. We'll see a little bit of fauna here and there, animals and birds. Lots of coconut plantations around here. This is a big coconut palm area for palm oil, and also then for the coconuts. Coconut is a prominent ingredient in southern Indian cooking, which makes perfect sense. Like I said, we'll see people living their lives on the water. Here's a bunch of fishermen drawing in their nets. Here's some kids on the side, on the banks here. I'm guessing there must have been a school there, and they've come out to wave at tourists. Just a relaxing day. We will visit a village. We will take canoes into the smaller canals. We'll fill up our day quite nicely. But we will not sleep on a houseboat, but rather a hotel / resort type of hotel, like these images. Now, one other thing that we hope to experience is the ancient cantilevered Chinese fishing nets, just because they're so picturesque, right? I mean, I experienced this. I saw these in Kochi, which we will not be visiting on the tour, but they do have the Chinese fishing nets throughout the backwater area. So with a little bit of luck, we'll come across some of these as well. Modern derricks in the background there. And the last thing we will do as a group in the South is have a Kathakali dance performance. You can see from this shot that the costumes are, to say they're elaborate is a gross understatement. They are spectacularly colorful. This form of art, this form of dance is highly ritualized. It evolved from 2nd century temple rituals, and it embraces elements of the Ramayana, like so much of Hindu art. Either the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, the two primary mythological literary traditions of Hinduism. The dance itself is extremely precise, very stylized motions, a lot to do with hand motions, fingers, facial expression, the eyes. Quite spectacular. I almost misspoke. I almost said spectacular. This is not spectacular. The dancers are never moving very fast. It's intricate and engaging, definitely not spectacular, but visually it's splendid. A part of every performance is the artists putting on their makeup. The performance might last 40 or 45 minutes, and the putting on of the makeup about the same. And we'll make sure that we get to experience that as well, while they explain the various colors and why they're made up the way they are. Kathakali dance, something definitely to look forward to on the tour. And when we're ready to move on from the backwaters there of Kerala, this is going to be a flight. This is much too far to drive during the day up to Mysore. So we'll get up early in the morning. we'll be transferred to Kochi, where there's an airport, and we'll fly to Mysore up in Karnataka, which is the northwesternmost area of southern India. And before we even head into Mysore, we'll be picked up at the airport, and we'll stop in the town of Somnathpur, where we'll visit Kashavat Temple. This is the one that is behind my head as well as on the screen for you here. This is a Hoysala temple, Hoysala style. Hoysala was a dynasty in this part of the world from the 11th to the 14th century. And the Hoysala temples are not nearly as vertical. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. You can see it from the photograph here. They're squat, more horizontal type of architecture, and God is in the details, literally in this case. I mean, the carving is exquisite. I mean, not that it wasn't in the Dravidian architecture, but the smaller carving details are what really make this special. Look at this row of, I'm going to say they're elephants right now, but I'm not 100% sure. But look at the intricacy of this carving throughout this Hoysala temple. Then we'll head into Mysore and have our primary palace experience for the tour. This is the Mysore Maharaja's Palace. As you can see, quite spectacular. It's in really good shape. And the reason is quite simple. This palace that we see today was completed in 1912. There was a palace there for hundreds of years, but it burned in the 1890s and then was rebuilt. So it's a fairly contemporary building, if you can stretch the terminology of contemporary, to a quite spectacular palace complex. Here's the ceremonial gate. And what's really spectacular is the interior. I mean, this is the palace to visit in southern India, which of course will have a guided tour inside. Quite, in this case, spectacular is absolutely the right word to use. Mysore has a number of things to see. We are not likely to see this. They light up this palace during a special festival that does not take place when we are there, but I wanted you to see the picture of it. And this is the Lalita Mahal palace. You can see, again, sort of contemporary 19th century architecture, very European. And this palace, we will not visit it. It's been converted into a luxury hotel. And, you can certainly go out and visit it on your free time. It will not be included in the tour, but it is one of the landmarks of Mysore. And I love it because I've got great memories from the early 90s. That's actually me. Don't worry, I do have some shorts on there. In an old abandoned bathtub on the roof. Can you see that dome in the background? That's the center dome of this hotel. My ex-wife and I were traveling. We were on a super tight budget, but we decided to splurge, and we stayed in the most inexpensive room in the hotel. It was a little turret room. It was just charming and lovely, air conditioned. It was absolute luxury for us. And as I recall, it cost about $35. My wife took this picture. It's an infrared shot, and it sits right here on my desk, right next to me where I'm talking right now. So good memories for me. I just wanted to share that with everybody. That's the Lalita Mahal Palace that's been converted to a hotel. Just outside of Mysore is Chamundi Hill. There's a beautiful temple complex up there, and another one of these rather famous and large Nandis on the hike up to Chamundi Hill. Mysore is also famous just for shopping, for markets. There's a rail museum there that's quite good if you have that specific interest. Spice markets, and what the area is most known for is sandalwood, right? So there's sandalwood carvings, sandalwood soap, sandalwood scents. Just a great shopping stop there in Mysore. From Mysore, as I said, we want to move further north to finish the tour in Hyderabad. Hyderabad is quite a bit north of anything else that we've done, so we will fly this route. From Mysore, we'll take a bus to Bengaluru, and there we will fly to Hyderabad. On our way to the airport, we will make one significant stop. This is the Gomateshvara statue. This is the Buddha in some form of incarnation. This is the largest monolithic statue in the world by weight. And by monolithic, I mean carved from a single stone, right? It's 60 feet high. It's 1,000 years old. It's truly impressive. Here's a better shot to give you scale, right? Where there's some people there in the foreground that give you a sense of how big it is. I mean, of course, this does not compare to some of the other huge statues around the world, but carved from a single stone, this is the biggest in the world. Truly impressive. Gomateshvara statue. So we'll make a stop here, take some photographs, experience this great statue, and then we'll jump on a plane and fly to Hyderabad. We'll spend 3 nights there, so we'll have 2 full days of sightseeing, lots to see in Hyderabad. This is the sort of signature building in Hyderabad. This is the Charminar. It's actually a mosque. It was built in 1591 to celebrate the founding of Hyderabad and also the defeat of an outbreak of the plague in the area. Once it was finally conquered, the plague, they built this monument. Maybe we'll build something like this when the COVID-19 pandemic is finally over. We should build a monument somewhere to that. Beautiful at night when they light it up, the Charminar. And nearby is probably the best street market in this part of India. And then just outside of Hyderabad is the Golconda Fort. This was known to be the mightiest fort in the south of India, a long and storied history here. It was the early seat of the Kitab Shahi dynasty. It was impregnable. It was only conquered by deceit and treachery, right? Somebody inside the walls gave up some secrets. It was built in the 12th and 13th centuries, expanded over the next couple hundred years, and then destroyed in the early 14th century. So it is no more than a ruin today, but it is a very impressive ruin. So Golconda Fort will definitely be one of our site destinations in Hyderabad. There's also quite an impressive palace here. It does not stack up even close to the Maharaja's palace in Mysore, but it's still a worthwhile visit. We'll not include this during the tour, but you will have a couple of free afternoons to explore. This is the Chowmahala Palace, right? It was built by the Asaf Jahi dynasty. It was the seat of the Nizams of Hyderabad for a couple hundred years. Sorry, that was a misspeak. It was only built in the mid-19th century, so for the next 100 years, the Nizams, or rulers of Hyderabad, lived in this palace complex. Always impressive interiors, of course. And then this is the Mecca Masjid, right? The Mecca Mosque. This is one of the biggest mosques in all of India. It was built in the mid-17th century. And rather interestingly, in 2007, there was a terrorist bomb that was exploded in there. So the security is super high now. Nearby are the Kitab Shahi tombs. Kitab Shahi, those were the ones who built the Chowmahala Palace and fortified the Golconda. These are 16th and 17th century tombs for the various ruling sultans of the area. Of course, there's always some modern things that are worth seeing in India. Hyderabad is no exception. This is the Birla Mandir made of white marble. This is only built in 1976. That's one of the things I really love about India. You got all these ancient things, temples, forts, palaces, but the modern sensibility. They create beautiful architecture even in modern times. This is another large, rather modern Buddha statue. This one is almost as big as the one that we will have already seen here. It's on a little island in the Husan Saigar, which is a artificial lake. It was commissioned in 1990, but while it was on a barge being taken out to a little island out in the middle of the lake, the barge sank. So at very great expense, they had to dredge it up from the bottom. They finally got it set up in 1992, and here you can see that they illuminated at night. People have taken the little ferry out there. You can see people all around the base. So again, a couple of modern things that are definitely worthwhile to see in Hyderabad. That sort of wraps up the regular 2 weeks of southern India, but we do have on offer an extension. We will fly north from Hyderabad to Bandhavgarh National Park. Oops, sorry, I thought I was done with images. Just again, a picture of, Hyderabad is an urban center. So that's the mosque on the right there. And this is one of the market streets, busy. And there's the Charminar in the background. And I had mentioned that there was a bustling market nearby there. This is the image I thought was going to pop up next. Bandhavgarh is easily the best place to see tigers in all of India. It's sort of an anomaly, a biologist best understanding of Bengal tigers is that each tiger needs, a certain amount of square kilometers of territory to support themselves. And there are more tigers per square mile in Bandhavgarh than that standard should allow, right? So it's sort of a natural physical anomaly, but therefore it makes for the best chances of seeing tigers. It's a very high percentage of visitors that have success spotting a tiger. The last time we did northern India in 2017, we went to Ranthambore National Park, and we saw tiger tracks and we saw evidence of tigers, but we never did see a tiger. So I'm hoping this time around we will have better success.